Hello everyone, hope you're all doing well, and as you know, in Elden Ring and all of the Souls series in general, some of the most iconic weapons are the boss weapons. However, there is a usual thing that they do, and I found it very increasingly so in Elden Ring, is that the boss weapons that you get are the actual weapons that the bosses use. However, in very rare cases, and in previous games I felt it was much more done, is that they create weapons inspired by the bosses. So for example, a dragon can create a curved greatsword, you have one of the bosses creating a bow for it, or an ultra greatsword. And what I like about these is that you don't feel like you're just using the boss's weapon, but you're using something that literally has the soul of that boss. And this is something that we wanted to tackle in the Guard of Eyes mod. Now of course we have overhauled the Remembrance weapons that already exist in the game by adding movesets of the bosses, adding new movesets, giving them more flashy attacks in general and better movesets. But we also created brand new Remembrance weapons which we will be showing you in this video today. Now as you know, in the mod we are overhauling a lot of the bosses in the game, including creating new Elden variants of the bosses, which are harder variations of bosses, which have new phases and all of that, and by beating some of those bosses you'll be able to earn some of those new weapons. So without further ado, let us get started. The first weapon is the Starscourge Lion Greatshield, and fans of Dark Souls 2 and Dark Souls 3 will immediately recognize the idea of a double door shield. And we really like this idea as it really represents the might of Radahn, with the themes of the lion that is inspired by Godfrey and the horns and the gravity magic in general. This weapon is very fun to play with because you can just smack people and just close in the shields on them. And for its weapon art we have created a stance weapon art, which one of them you can basically hit opponents by advancing forward with the shield while blocking, and the heavy attack will launch a gravity laser from the mouth of the lion. The second weapon is the Heart of Malenia, and you might be wondering, Malenia doesn't wield a shield, she only wields a katana, and that's exactly the contrast that we wanted to aim for in this weapon. As the idea of Malenia's katana is that it's the hand of Malenia, we wanted to create something that captures the essence of Malenia, and we couldn't find better than something called the Heart of Malenia, which is a shield. You can see the themes around the shield with the scarlet bloom and the rot and the golden prosthetic theme of Malenia's armor and weapons. And for the weapon art we have created Butterfly Slash, which is similar to the Phantom Slash, but it launches clones of Malenia, which is very cool for this weapon and really drives the theme of Malenia. The next weapon is Maliketh's Black Claws, and you can see the design of this, that it matches the armor and themery of Maliketh, as well as the blade from Maliketh's Black Blade being the claws of the weapon. This weapon is very cool looking, and it might be a little bit edgy, but we love the idea that the destined death trails are basically looking like you're opening tears in reality. And for the weapon art, it is also multiple slashes, a weapon art with the end driving up destined death from the ground and hurting the player in the process. The next weapon is Rykard's Golden Serpent. Now, the idea of Rykard is that he's basically just this crazy everything together. It's a very weird creature in general, even the boss's design and the sword for him and everything, it's just very invocative, you know? So we wanted to create basically a metal whip, which basically has the imagery of Rykard's face and the Great Serpent in its design. And this is something that you might not see in the game, but in the design also you can see how basically the metal parts of the whip that come out of it, they have also imagery from Rykard and basically the arms coming out of those parts. And for the color scheme we have used the golden and silver color scheme, which is used by the abductor enemies, which are also created by Rykard. As for the weapon art, we have created a new weapon art where it summons a mini version of the Great Serpent, and it launches big taker flames around the player. Now don't worry, we have reduced the damage of those, so don't worry, you won't be spamming them and killing other enemies and bosses very easily like the Blasphemous Blade. The next weapon is the Staff of Astel, and this is self-explanatory. It's basically a staff that's designed around the parts of Astel, which looks very interesting, and the great thing about it is that the part where basically the spells come out from are from the eye of Astel, so that's very interesting. And another weapon we also created way back, which are the Wings of Astel, which is basically placed to replace the disappointing Wing of Astel. The idea of this was very interesting because it basically shows the two big wings of Astel as a big twin blade, and it mixes between the gravity attacks and the magic attacks that Astel has. And the weapon art is a teleportation similar to Astel that basically strikes down the foes with gravity magic at the end. Another weapon is Serosh's Claws, which is basically the weapon that you'll be receiving from killing Hoarah Loux, and the idea of it is that it allows you to use the martial arts moveset that Hoarah Loux uses, and most importantly being able to powerbomb the enemies in a very cool way, so that's one of the great things that we have for the weapon. Now, these are some of the weapons that we have showcased for you today. We also have a lot of other weapons that are work in progress, and there is also a lot of different and completely new weapons, new armors, new spells, new locations, new bosses, a lot of stuff in the Garden of Eyes Overhaul mod, which you can check out and play yourself using the early access with our Patreon down in the description. Your support with Patreon really helps support the team that is behind this mod, and we really appreciate all of your support. And make sure to subscribe for much more content that will be available very soon for everyone, including boss versus boss content, Dark Souls 3 bosses versus Elden Ring bosses, and much more. So, thank you for watching, and I'll be seeing you later. Bye bye.